Well, imagine for 1 second that your child started exhibiting some unusual behaviors and you or your doctors couldn't get to the bottom of what was going on. Good evening, I'm Mary Alice Demler.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Levin. Well, that's just what's happening in Genesee County, where parents met to learn more about a mysterious illness that's affecting some students.
Well, tonight, too, on your side, Sarah Hopkins has the latest from Leroy on an ailment with symptoms similar to Tourette syndrome.
State health officials addressed hundreds of concerned parents and community members here at Leroy Junior-Senior High School. But for some of them, the information that officials had to give just wasn't enough.
We do have some answers. We will share as much as we can without sharing the diagnosis. We can't do that. It's not right. It's a federal issue, but it's not right either.
Answers leading to more questions in Leroy as state health officials tried to calm the fears of hundreds of parents, wondering why 12 high school students, all girls, have developed strange, uncontrollable tics in recent months.
I can assure you that these the children have all been seen by professionals who have come up with an answer, and they're being treated appropriately, and they're actually doing pretty well.
State health officials and Leroy Superintendent Kim Cox met with a full auditorium after a 3.5-month investigation, announcing they've ruled out environmental factors like carbon monoxide, as well as infections or communicable disease. Illegal drugs were also ruled out.
We got the best minds focused in on this, and we're comfortable with what we've come up with.
But just what they've come up with, officials can't say. Generally speaking, they cited genetics, head trauma, and drugs for OCD and ADHD as potential causes. Antihistamines are also known to cause tics. Stress and anxiety make them worse.
Well, then what is it?
But those answers weren't enough for Jim DuPont. He says his daughter has missed nearly every day of school this past month.
And so now she has to be tutored, and I worry about her future. She's only 17. She can't even drive now.
DuPont says his daughter is seeing a neurologist, but he hasn't heard a diagnosis.
You feel frustrated and helpless because you don't know what you can do, and you're just not getting any answers.
After speaking with all the girls involved, state health officials say they do know one thing for sure, and that's that these girls are absolutely not making their symptoms up.
Sat down, I tried to sleep again for another hour, and I happened to mention to a friend of mine, another targeted individual that's friends with me on Facebook, about this unusual how I couldn't keep my eyes open all of a sudden. And he said to me, "Jed, it's funny you should say that because I've been having the same problem." Now he's over in St. Louis, and right away I had the thought that, I bet National Security must have a new coordinator for the Midwest region, and they're playing us this way. Now the past few days, I've had a return to the unusual inability to sleep, which is all this is always accompanied by ringing in the ear. Now previously I've posted about some of these microwave weapons for mind control, and call your attention to this Monroe patent from 1994, patent 5356368, method of an apparatus for inducing desired states of consciousness. Now from the PDF of the patent, this is the abstract of this device. Improved methods and apparatus for entraining human brain patterns, employing frequency following response techniques, facilitate attainment of desired states of consciousness. In one embodiment, a plurality of EEG waveforms, characteristic of a given state of consciousness, are combined to yield an EEG waveform to which subjects may be susceptible more readily. In another embodiment, sleep patterns are reproduced based on observed brain patterns during portions of a sleep cycle. Entrainment principles are applied to induce sleep. In yet another embodiment, entrainment principles are applied in the work environment to induce and maintain a desired level of consciousness. A portable device also is described, and there's 28 claims, 21 drawing sheets to this patented mind control device. Now again, for the naysayers that want to refuse to believe that they can do these things to people, or for the government trolls whose job it is to try to convince people that these things aren't real. No, I have to inform you that many of these devices had to be given demonstrations at the patent office before the patents were issued. They're not theory, they are cooperative. quite real. So it is a fact that by using frequency following response, it is completely possible to make people sleep. It's also possible for them to prevent people from sleeping. So anyway, this is the kind of bullshit that these assholes have been doing to me, my stalker that I posted a couple videos about last night. And I'm not the only one that's being subjected to this. We already know that. When you look around on the internet, you'll see quite a few people are being targeted with these untraceable weapons. You need special detection equipment in order to prove that you're being assaulted with these microwave weapons. And typically when people come forward, they don't have any evidence because all these things cost money, these detection devices.
Control of the human being, such as the Manchurian Candidate, possible.
We are not professing to tell you the complete story of these activities. We are professing to tell you the complete story that we know. But these records that we've uncovered don't tell the story. They tell pieces of it.
This is a story that has been told in bits and pieces over the last few years. This is an attempt to pull most of it together. We know we don't have the full story. We do, however, have some striking new revelations and insights. It is a story of a concerted search by several United States intelligence agencies to perfect mind control.
Have secret experiments been carried out on ordinary, unsuspecting people by government scientists who are trying to develop a terrifying new weapon? A weapon to control the human mind.
This document from Maxwell Air Force Base lays out the use of electromagnetic weapons technologies for debilitating human beings. Using electromagnetic warfare against human beings, you can cause disease, you can cause hysteria, or you can cause passivity for population control.
Extremely low frequencies affect us because they are the same frequencies that our brains output. And when they're in the environment around us, our brains try to entrain to them. So our brains try to mimic those signals. And if those signals are not good ones for our behavior, then we can fall apart. We can behave differently. We could get sick. We could feel very stressed and not know why.
iPhone fans in Beijing went home empty-handed today after scuffles broke out at the Apple store in the Chinese capital. The iPhone was supposed to launch nationwide in the mainland today, and the move by Apple has left many frustrated. Here's more.
China's Apple stores released the latest iPhone 4S on Friday, but the Beijing store launch was cancelled due to fears of chaos given the unruly crowd. Shoppers and security staff scuffled before daybreak after an announcer with a bullhorn told the surging crowd that the phones would not go on sale and that they should go home. Hundreds of enraged shoppers, many of whom had waited in line overnight, say they're disappointed with Apple's decision.
I've been waiting since 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon until 7 o'clock this morning. Apple has broken a lot of Chinese customers' hearts. I think Apple has been very unkind by doing so. Anyway, a lot of us will be very disappointed.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Friday, January 13th, 2012, and I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com, and on YouTube it's ddarko2012. That's ddarko2012. Alright, so I'm just going to get started here. You just saw how many hearts are going to be broken because the Chinese people aren't going to get their iPhones. And, you know, you'd think they'd be more... I thought they were going to be throwing eggs, pelting the building with eggs, Apple's building, because of the workers that were going to be, you know, quote, jumping off the ledge, off the top of the building, basically mass suicide to demand, you know, wages and whatnot. But no, it's because they're not getting their iPhones. It says here, Apple details working conditions at factories, discloses a comprehensive list of its major suppliers for the first time, along with a detailed report on factory inspections, moving to combat an array of criticism about working conditions in its supply chain and company's transparency. Some of the areas were working hours, overtime pay. It also went in there and said, which is this, Apple supplier Foxconn says 150 workers at South China factory in protest threatened to jump from a factory building earlier this month to protest an internal transfer of employees. But the most recent news that I have is that they talked them off the ledge. So, and the sad part is that they'll tell them that, just like in Peru, that hopefully I'll be able to cover today. The Peruvians they're going to make promises with them that they'll break later. It says here at least 12 schoolgirls in New York developed debilitating mystery illness. Health Department refuses to disclose the cause, which is possibly Gardasil. And just a couple quick points on this Tourette-like illness story in New York City was that they blamed possibly genetics. You have bad genes, and then you had that one part of my French representative jerk off saying the blonde-haired guy with the glasses saying, oh, we have the best minds working on it. Well, it's kind of ironic because the best minds that he's talking about are the same people that promote pushing that Gardasil vaccine onto these young girls. And another tragedy is that a lot of times if these parents don't allow these schools to experiment on their children, i.e. with these Gardasil vaccines, what happens? Well, they kick them out of school, and then they're truant, and then the CPS comes and takes their kids. That's what they do for not allowing them to go to school. So if you don't take vaccinations, you lose your kids. So, I mean, as a parent, you have no power. These people do. So it was a tragedy to hear that father say, she's missed so many days of school and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, just pull her, But, that's how it is. You got to get that diploma. That means absolutely nothing, so you can go work at Kmart. One remote to rule them all. It says here, voice-activated smart TVs have been a staple of emerging technologies. The writer says, I've seen at CES in Las Vegas this year, and I must say, I just don't get it. Well, I get it. I'll be perfectly blunt. The TV is for brainwashing. It's for mind control. It's for duplicating your brainwaves and implanting messages that you think are coming from you. And just by a little side note, I have been having ringing in my ears, and I don't like that because I am being assaulted just like other people are. I've been getting it every day, the ringing in my ears on different sides. But that's what it's for. It's to make it to hook into that matrix even more. So it goes on and says you've got voice integrated remote controls that let you speak into it. And they go in there and say they compare it to Apple, our friend company that we're just talking about was the first to release a voice-activated function for the smartphone that works in the same way. Talking about Siri, kind of scary too, because the author is really not complaining about how it's going to be used to control people's minds, but how it doesn't have certain functions and how they're not good enough to make it easier. They want it more. It says here, Microsoft and Sesame Street create Kinect-based show. Interactive episodes of Sesame Street are being developed by its creators in conjunction with Microsoft two-way television. Children's show creator said that Microsoft's Kinect gesture-based and motion tracking control was a, quote, perfect input device for preschoolers. Talk about programming, guys. Perfect input device. Talking about throwing coconuts at the screen and then basically the television reacts and catches it, like these little like the puppets can talk to them and stuff. So what will this be used for? Well, Bert and Ernie getting married. This was a little movement that was going. They wanted to get Bert and Ernie to be married, gay partners. And it says here, no Sesame Street gay wedding for Bert and Ernie, so they won't be getting married. Now, if you're, I've already put this out there, I'm not going to go into it, but if, I'm not against homosexuality, I just think that it's being forced onto people and it's being promoted for whatever reasons. And I don't think they're benevolent. Web addicts have brain changes, research suggests. So maybe this is how they'll shut people on the internet that are talking the truth right now. They'll just say, oh, you have an anti-authority disorder, or, ooh, you have internet addiction. It's a clinical disorder marked by out-of-control internet use. So we know that the television is used for programming and brainwashing for adults, grown-up children, which most of them are now. But then what? We have the re-education camps that we're talking about where young children are being experimented on with these vaccinations and whatnot, and being indoctrinated to love their enslavement and love this this brave new world with all these cute little gadgets. It says school day could be extended and summer holidays cut under education shake. That's just not in the UK or anywhere. I mean, Rahm Emanuel, who's the communist city of Chicago and state of Illinois, they're trying to do that too. We go here, dumbed down degrees, university standards under fire as 50% more students awarded. One expert says degree classifications are now almost meaningless. So that's what I was talking about before. Too busy to talk. 1 in 4 Britons speaks to their loved one for less than 10 minutes a day. It's dubbed a conversation coma. Increasing workloads are blamed for the downturn in people talking to their loved ones. So economic, i.e. social warfare. Police babysitter uses Xanax to calm 4-year-old, and 17's charged with beating classmate unconscious, appeared to have a seizure and pass out, said students who sat by and did nothing. And why? because it was her first time riding the bus. This is GGN and I'm Darko.